Hi, I'm Nicola Carr-White. I've recently completed a research master's in the process used by this tool. I'm going to step you through how to use the Mastery Learning folder with your child from the first day that it comes home from school. Let's just take a look at the folder first of all. The flashcards have a bee on them and the folder pockets have a bee theme. So we've got store, you can see a little picture of a hive there, some daisies and a leaf, and down here we have some honey. So these pockets are labelled according to the process that you're going to be using with your child. So we have test pockets here, a rest pocket, we've got a tutor start pocket, and that's where you're going to begin from. And then this section here, rest, test, rest, rest, mastery test, that's going to be conducted by the teacher or perhaps an education assistant. Here you can see what your folder might look like on the first day that it comes home with your child. There might be approximately 20 flashcards in the first test pocket, and then there's some additional flashcards in the store pocket which you won't be addressing just yet. Alternatively, you may have been given a sheet of flashcards and you just have to cut them out and place them into the store pocket. So remove the side, the bottom, anything that's not a flashcard, and just cut in between them and place into the store pocket. Depending on how many flashcards you have, transfer up to 20 flashcards into the first pocket, but you always need to leave at least 4 or 5 in the store pocket, and you'll find out about that as we go through the process. Before I begin to describe how you're going to use the folder, I'd just like to briefly start with what it is that you're actually doing. You're not drilling your child in the content of these pockets. What you're doing is you're giving them an opportunity to practice recalling or recognising, depending on the flashcard, the learning content. These pockets enable your child to start practicing recalling the information on the flashcard over longer and longer intervals. And when they have to struggle to try to remember the content, because it might have been half a week ago since they last looked at it, that struggle is what helps move the learning into long-term memory. So let's begin. For the purposes of today's demonstration, the content in this folder is just maths. But your child may have brought home a folder that has mixed subject content. And if it does, then you just simply rearrange that content in your hand to spelling, phonics, maths, whatever topics or subject areas you have, just rearrange it in your hand so that they're together as you test. So now we're going to start what is called retrieval testing. You're going to be helping your child to practice retrieving the knowledge that they've begun learning about in the classroom, and now they're practicing with you at home. So the first flashcard is based on friends of 10, so that's the numbers that go together to make 10, and you would ask your child if they can remember who is friends with 8. If they remember that that's 2, then correct flashcards always move forward to the next pocket. The next flashcard is double 3. Now if they're struggling to remember, give them a little bit of time, maybe 10 seconds. But if they can't remember what double 3 is, say, that's fine, we're keeping on working on that one. That just goes back to the same pocket, which will just give it a little bit more practice time. This one is, what is this 3D shape? So if they say a sphere, that is correct. You might like to ask them what objects they know of have a sphere shape. Get them to provide a little more information. This one is, what is this shape? If they can't remember that that's a cube, then it returns to the same pocket, and maybe you could look around the room and ask them then to point out some things in your home that have a cube shape to reinforce that learning. The next one is, what is this shape? This is a cylinder, and they can recall that that is a cylinder. And once again, you can ask them, where do they see that shape in real life? Here's a sample, here's a flashcard which is of a number name. So you would be asking them to look at that word, and if they can't read that it's 5, then that goes back into the same pocket. What is this shape? They're not exactly sure, so that goes back into the same one, and then you would talk about cylinders and where we see cylinders, and the fact that that was a drink can. Who is friends with 1? If they successfully can remember that that number that goes with 1 is 9, that moves forward. Who is friends with 7? 3. Now, if they struggle with the friends of 10, you can take them back to their fingers, but we don't want them using their fingers initially. We just want them to be able to recall it from last time. At the beginning of the folder, they will be getting more of the flashcards incorrect because they're just beginning their practice. But as they move through, they'll be remembering back to the previous day or the previous week, and they will be starting to get that content moving through the process more quickly. So this says choose a number and show it on a ruler. So you'd need to grab a ruler, get the child to choose a number less than 30 and show it where it is located on that ruler. 7, they answer correctly, it moves forward. This one is looking at the multiplication and division facts for 2, and you've got 3 different numbers. So first of all, you might ask them, what are 2 numbers could we multiply together to get 10? 2 times 5. You can also switch them around to 5 times 2. And what about dividing? What can I divide 10 by to get 2? 10 divided by 5 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. If they can show you those 4 multiplication division sums, that moves forward. 10, that might be forgotten. So that can go back to the same pocket, and you might do some skip counting by 10 to help them remember that pattern. 2, yes, your child can tell you that's 4. Skip count by 4s to 40. Well, they might be able to skip count up to 16, and if they can beat that each time, so each time they do that flashcard, the next time they get to 24, then I would move that forward because the ultimate goal is 40. And here we have a division sum, 8 divided by 4. If they say that's 2, that moves forward. And another multiplication and division facts, and we've got 6, 3 and 2. So looking at that flashcard, your child may say 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So just using those numbers to multiply and divide, and that moves forward. So now we've got content in 2 pockets, two active pockets, and that's the end of the session for that day. Let's go on to the next day, and you probably have been asked to use the folder on each school day, so be that in the morning or after dinner, 5 times a week, but your teacher will explain exactly how many times she would like you to use the tool. So what we need to recognise now is that we always work backwards through the pockets. This is where you're going to start from once the folder is full up to this point. You're going to start from where it says tutor testing with the arrow going back, but at the moment we've only got content this far along in the folder, so we're going to step backwards till we get the content that's furthest along, and we are going to go through this again. So I'm going to do less explaining this time just so we can get the content through. So this is find the multiplication facts for 2. Yes, they remember from yesterday how to do that. skip count by 4 to 40. This time they're skipping by 4s and they got up to 20. That's an improvement. Let's move it forward. 8 divided by 4. Now this one they are struggling with and they've been trying to think about it for about 10 seconds. That's okay, keep thinking about it, but we're going to put this in the same pocket that it came from to give you more time to practice that one. Double 2, yes, that moves forward. Multiplication division facts for 2. They are able to show those 4 facts or just demonstrate them. Double 7, oh, okay, nah, that's not coming back to memory for them. So you could talk a little bit about that and give them the answer. Double 7 is 14. And that goes back into the same pocket. Choose a number, show it on a ruler. They can demonstrate that to you. It moves forward. Who's friends with 7? 3. That moves forward. Who's friends with 1? 9. That's right. What is that particular shape? It's a cone. Yes. And this one, that's a sphere. Correct. And who is friends with 8? No, not 3. So it's 8 and 2. So we've got 8 down and 2 up. 2 is the answer for that. And you can hear that I'm rushing, but my purpose is not to teach you the answers, but to show you how to use the folder. So we started here, the content that was correct moved forward, the content that wasn't correct went back to the same folder. Now I'm going to move back to the next pocket. Double 10. This time they did remember that it was 20. And after talking about cylinders at home, they remembered that this was a cylinder, so it moves forward. They also remembered that that was 5 and that is a cube. Double 3, they still struggled with that one and they couldn't remember that double 3 was 6, so you'd have a bit of a talk about that. You could even have some manipulatives like, you know, a few pencils to show 3 and 3 in concrete form. That one goes back to the same pocket, so it wasn't retrieved successfully from memory. So that's the end of the second session. You can now see we've got content in 3 pockets. So it could be the next day or it could be after the weekend. You're going to start from this pocket and you're going to work backwards. And now I'm just going to move on to saying correct or incorrect, but that's not the way that you will conduct the process. This is just to show you how to use the tool. So that is demonstrated. They know that that's a sphere, that's correct. That's a cone, it's moving back. Who is friends with 1? Yep, that's just, they've had a blank on that one, so they're not sure about that one. So that one goes back to the same pocket it came out of. Who is friends with 7? 3, correct. Choose a number, show it on a ruler. They chose 14 and they could show it on the ruler, correct. Multiplication division facts. They got a bit befuddled with this one and couldn't remember how to do the division. That goes back to the same pocket. Double 2 is 4, that moves on. Skip count by 4 to 40. They could only skip count up to 20 again. So we're looking for progress on that one. So that goes back into the same pocket for more practice time. And find the multiplication division facts for 2. They could demonstrate those 4 sums. So that moves forward. So now we move back to this pocket. And that is recalled as a cube. They can read the number 5. They know that that is a cylinder. Double 10, they're still having a little bit of a struggle with that one. That will go back to the same pocket. Who's friends with 8? Yes, they've got that as 2. 8 divided by 4, they're struggling with this layout. Then they're not sure, they remember what that sign means, so you talk about it. That goes back to the same pocket. Double 7, that is correctly remembered as 14. Now we move back to the final pocket. Double 3 is recalled as being 6, so that moves forward this time. So that's the end of the session for that day. The next practice session, you're going to be beginning from this pocket. This is a little different. This pocket says rest. The content in the rest pocket is not tested for this particular session. All that happens with this content is it's taken out as a bundle and it's moved up to the next pocket. Now what that's doing is it's creating a longer interval between, or a bigger space between when this content was last tested and when you're going to test it at the next session. So they're going to have to try to remember the content of these flashcards over a longer period of time, and it will be more difficult. But remember what I said, that it's the struggle to remember that helps move learning into long-term memory. So that is what the purpose of that rest pocket is, to make this content a little bit more difficult so your child needs to struggle a little more to remember it. So we've moved that up, that's all we have to do. We're going to go backwards to this pocket now. 777, that is retrieve successfully. Who is friends with 8? Yes, that's remembered. What is this shape? Yeah, can't remember what that is. That's a cylinder. That's going to go back to the same pocket. Yes, 5 can be remembered and read. Yes, that's a cube. Skip counting by 4 to 40. This time your child gets up to 28. So that's a great improvement, and you might want to just go through with them after they've given you the answer. Let's skip count together. Let's skip count all the way up to 40. And then next time they're trying to see if they can improve on that. We've got multiplication and division facts, which are demonstrated. Who is friends with 1? That is not recalled, so that's going to go back to the same pocket. Now we're going to move backwards to the next pocket. 333, that one they're still struggling with. That's going to go back to the same pocket. 8 divided by 4, that is moved on. It is correctly recalled. 10, they're struggling with that one, so they couldn't recall that. Goes back to the same pocket. That's the end of that session. Now this is the place that your testing of your child finishes. The content in this pocket is the last pocket that you're actually using in this tool, because this section is for your teacher. So you can see it says tutor testing and start with the backward arrow. Now that we've got content throughout the folder, this is where you're going to start each day. And there's something special that happens with the content that is successfully remembered and retrieved from this pocket. So find the multiplication division facts for 2. Yes, they could do that. Now, as I've just said, this is your section, this is the teacher section. When a flashcard is successfully remembered and it leaves your section, you're not going to be testing that anymore, but you need to replace that content. So if one is successfully removed from your section, you're going to place a new one, a new flashcard, into the first pocket. Choose a number, show it on a ruler. Yes, they could do that. It's left your section, bring another one in. Who is friends with 7? Yes, that is successfully remembered as 3. Bring in another flashcard. 222. Yes. Describe what is this shape. For purposes today, I'm going to say they've forgotten that it's a sphere, so that just goes back into the same pocket. Same with this one, they've forgotten that's a cone, and so it goes back into the same pocket and nothing comes out of there. We're going to move backwards to the next pocket. Now this pocket says rest. We're not doing anything with those flashcards. All we're going to do is take them out of the rest pocket and put them into the next pocket. Keep going backwards. Test. 8 divided by 4, successfully retrieved. The answer is 2. Who is friends with 1? Successfully retrieved that. What is this shape? Cylinder. That is successfully recalled. We're going to move backwards to the next pocket now. Double 10 is 20. Double 3, they recalled as 6. We're going to move backwards to the next pocket again. And 10 take away 5. They're not quite sure about that one, so let's talk about maybe doubles and counting on or other different ways to remember. So we're going to put that back in. This is the first time they've seen this content, remember. So at the start, they're just beginning their practice. Multiplication facts for 7. They know what the system is, so yes, they could say 7 times 2 and 2 times 7 and 14 divided by 2 and 14 divided by 7 is 2. So that one moves forward. Another multiplication facts for 2. They can successfully demonstrate that. Who is friends with 2 to 10? No, they can't remember that one. So that goes back to the same pocket. So now I've taken you through the full process until you get to the tutor testing pocket. Key things to remember: wherever you start from, you're always working backwards through the pockets. If the content is correct, it moves forward. If it's not correct, it goes back to the same pocket. And the content in the rest pocket is not tested. It just moves forward as a bundle. Now, if you have further questions, I have other videos on my website on the parent page. You can ask your child's teacher or education assistant. You can get in touch with me. There's plenty of support out there. Ask other parents. But basically, you've got this video now, so watch it as many times as you need to. And I hope you'll get a lot of joy from seeing how your child improves. Thanks so much.